Well, good evening and thank you for coming in. My name is John. I operate under the illustration and character design brand TuneStop with a side specialty in business and discipline insights for the artist. Little housekeeping item. Keep in mind, this panel is being recorded. Only stick around if you're cool with that. Today's topic, why burnout happens and how we're going to beat it. One moment. Now, what does burnout look like? What is it? What are the symptoms? What does it look like? Lost momentum. You're not moving forward in anything. You're lost. You're floating in the wind. Lost direction. You don't know why am I doing this? What am I doing? Who am I doing this for? And just flatly doing nothing. Time that you would have ordinarily spent in things that you enjoy, things you care about. You might be catching yourself spending most of that time thumbing through your phone, thumbing through your TikToks or your YouTube shorts or scrolling on Instagram wondering, why am I not where I want to be? That's a lot of side pieces to it, but what specifically is burnout? Well, at the center of it all, it's misspent energy. It's misspent energy on really everything except what's important to you. It's from working too hard, period. From working at the wrong time, right thing at the wrong time, wrong thing. From working without meeting your needs. So say you're missing maybe your financial health, maybe your personal health, and you're trying to move forward into self-actualization when you haven't graduated from survival yet. Working on things you don't believe in, putting your skills and your time and your energy into work you don't like, whether that's in your personal creative field because you've taken commissions to try to meet bills, or you're simply in a line of work that robs you of all your morale, robs you of your will to keep going. Working for no reward, disproportionate effort for no returns, no financial return, no moral return, no great work to show for it, or working with insufficient skill, getting too far in, too deep, too fast. All of these are categorical ways you can misspend your energy, and misspending your energy long enough will, in every case, result in burnout. Burnout it's hard to recover from. If you've burnt out, you feel it. You feel it hard, and you feel it for a long time, but it's not impossible to recover from. And the cure for burnout is pretty simple. It has a few steps involved, but you pause. Pump the brakes. Hold still. You can't get out of burnout until you stop long enough to understand why it happened. Now, when I say pause, it's a simple one-word answer, but there's a few things I mean by it. Pause means removing distractions. If you have to take Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. off your phone, do that. Get rid of that. Stop the noise. Get yourself a little bit of clarity. Clear appointments. If you have commitments, repeating commitments going on, if you have a lot of investment in going out into the world and being at this place at this time for this long and doing that over and over and over again, and that's getting in the way of meeting your needs, it's causing you to burn out, get rid of it for now. You can put it back later, but get rid of it for now. Clear your appointments. Make yourself some space. Pause unnecessary travel. If you're going to Detroit every week, and why would you do that as a sane person? But if you're going to Detroit every week, put a pause on that until you're in a healthier spot, and maybe start going back once every other week if you got to be going there, for example. Get your financial needs met 100%. I'm not saying that part is easy. It's feasible, but it's not easy. We're not all the way over into that kind of really awful form of economic collapse that has everybody out in the streets. But falling too short of your economic needs can and will contribute to a burnout scenario. And in addition to all these things, breathe. Make yourself space and simply stop and take in air and let that air back out. Your pause doesn't have to be perfect. Good enough will do. When you've made that space for yourself, you've cleared your calendars, you've removed your distractions, you've given yourself the time and the space to hear yourself think, you begin the next step of recovery, which proceeds through understanding. Have you ever seen the check engine light in your car? That ugly, abhorrent little thing that tells you nothing, and you have to go purchase a piece of equipment and plug it into your car to understand what's going wrong. That's true. Our operating principle is if you don't know what went wrong, you can't fix it, whatever the cost of that happens to be. Much in the same way that your check engine light is hiding error codes from you, your burnout might be hiding some more human error codes that are a little bit more complex, but still discernible, still possible to detangle and interpret. Understanding your burnout is an exercise in understanding yourself. What do you believe in? What's important to you as a person? Who are you? What do I want in life? What are the things I value socially, economically, in terms of personal health, personal actualization? What do you want in life? What do you want out of your life? And why do you want what you want in life? Is there good reasoning behind the things that are important to you? People don't ask themselves these questions. They don't understand why they choose to pay hundreds of dollars for a car, or spend all this money on takeout or DoorDash, or have these subscriptions that are simply eating away at your time and your money. Now, not everything like that is bad. If you have good, well thought out reasons for having the things you have, good on you. But audit that. Why do you want what you want in your life? And along with that, what do you need to get what you want in life in terms of time investment, skill, finances? What's the pathway to the things that you care about? And thinking about the things leading up to your burnout, is what you were doing aligned with what you want in your life? Are you acting inside your self-interest? Are you acting inside your values? And why were you doing what you were doing, whether it was the right or wrong decision? Is it right to keep doing that? Is it right to still have these long-term commitments, or this job, or spending this money? What do I need to do next? And why do I need to do what I need to do next? That's a lot of questions to ask, but these are the necessary things you have to think about and detangle if you're going to understand your burnout enough to come out of it. And each of these categories has more questions yet inside of it. Don't despair if you can't get through that and think through the whole thing inside the confines of this panel. This is also an article on my website that you could copy and paste and answer for yourself in a text document if you wanted. This and each of the sub-questions underneath it. When you think about what you believe in, what do I value? What kind of relationships do I want? How many of those relationships? What quality of those relationships? What do I want for my house? What kind of food do I want to eat? What do I want my health to look like? What do you value? What's most important to you as a person? And what do you want for the world around you? What do you want for your neighbors, your friends, your family. The world the world is different from the people. The world around you might be your culture, your society. How do you want the world to be different after you've left it, for example? What do I want for the people around me is the next question after that. Dealing with your friends, your family, your relationships at large. You know, what's an idea or principle that I want to contribute to? You know, is it important for you to think, is economic equity important to you? Is human rights as a general thing important to you? What are your ideals? What do you think humanity ought to be in its most perfect form? Humanity and society and all those things. And inside the category of your beliefs, if you're violating your beliefs, you're misspending your energy. It costs energy to hold one idea and act in opposition to it, and you're going to burn out as a result of that. And the next, what do I want in life? You know, what kind of family do you want? Whether that's just, you on your own having a good time, or partners, children's, roommates. What do you want? What do you want that to look like? Where are you in relation to that vision? What do you want to spend your time on? Like, we have to deal with the non-negotiables of work, but how do you want to spend your time outside of that? You know, what's important to you when it comes to, anime, first off. Like, that's what we're all here for. Anime or manga. Or reading at large, or having relationships, or eating good food, cooking good food. Working out, getting out in nature. What kind of health do you want to be in, if that's something you have an effect on? Chronic illness is a thing. We deal with that, but we still have a lot of good agency in the part of the world we live in. And it's important to think about in the what do you want in your life. Man, I covered a lot of these bases ahead of time. What kind of art do you want to make? Whether that's the costuming, whether that's the writing, whether that's the drawing. What kind of art do you want to make? Whether that's commercial art or personal art. Is what you're making in line with what you want to make? Why do you want to make that art? How does that compare to your core values? How does that compare to what you believe in? How does that compare to the highest good inside your heart and soul? What work and life balance do you want? How do you want what you do for money to compare to how you're spending the rest of your life with your relationships, your health, participating in society? And what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What do you want to be remembered for? Whether that's on the wide angle, change the world type thing, or whether that's in the small angle, how did I change somebody else's world? And you have to have an idea of these wants, these goals, these vectors when it comes to your personal, what do I want? If you move away from these goals instead of toward, you're going to misspend your energy and burn out because you're not seeing the things you want in life, whether or not you know you want those things in life. And a wide angle, why do I want what I want in life? Your goals have to be anchored down into your beliefs. You have to know who you are as a person, and knowing who you are as a person needs to inform what you want. Are your wants and beliefs yours? Were they... Now, everybody has to deal with the reality of coming away from the world around them. The world forms you. It's as simple as that. But you can still make the choice as to whether you take the things that are being impressed upon you and let them control you, or whether you're thinking about what the world is handing you critically and actualizing that yourself. Do they come from your family? Do they come from your culture? Do your wants and beliefs have reasons but no passion? And are your wants ethical? Do they make sense inside the context of what's good for you and what's good for the people around you? Are your wants attainable? Not everybody gets to be Jeff Bezos, and really, I don't think anybody should want that at this point. And we're not even going to talk about the Zuckerberg experience anymore. That poor man. If you have goals that aren't grounded into your beliefs and values, you're more likely to stray and burn out. Intentionality, knowing who you are, that's how you maintain healthy trajectory and healthy effort. And then what do I need to get what I want in life? How much money do you need to make? You can put a number on things and make it less ethereal, make it easier to balance, easier to understand. What kind of education or training do you need to get that money that you need to make or have the life you want? Where do you need to live to achieve your goals? Grand Rapids is a wonderful place for a lot of things, but it might be a situation where you have to get yourself closer to where the writers are, or where the costumers are, or where the artists are. That's a little bit less of a thing nowadays with the rise of remote work and with the rise of online community and being able to be more creative on your terms. But some things are still geographically restricted, and it's good to be mindful of that. Do you need professional guidance? Do you need to get in touch with people who have done what you want to do and are willing to give the answers, guide you from here to there, get you in the direction you want to go? Everybody loves, most people love helping other people. And most sane people will answer a question when asked with reasonable sincerity and good manners. In mind of that, who should you spend your time around, both on the professional level and the personal level? We're affected by the people we spend our time with. We're affected by if we spend time around people who are pulling us away from our goals and telling us that we're trash and moving us away from who we want to be by being a bad influence. It's worthwhile to think about whether people should be in your life or not. And then how long will you need to study or practice to get enough experience in terms of, what does this timeline have to look like for what we want? If you don't think through enough of these questions to figure out your best decisions, you're more likely to misspend energy, spin your wheels, and get nowhere and burn out as a result. It's deep, it's uncomfortable. It's a long list of questions. But we don't ask ourselves these questions, and that's how we end up in places we don't want to be. In life, in relationships, in work, in our creative pursuits. Were we doing things we believed in when we burned out? Were you spending time on the right things, whether you know it or not? If you burned out spending the right time on the right things, it's entirely possible your life wasn't supporting your passion. You didn't have the correct relationships, didn't have the correct financial backbone, didn't have the correct organization of time, weren't giving yourself enough rest. If you burned out spending the wrong time on the right things, disproportionate amount of time, doing 12-hour benders, writing or drawing, and forsaking your needs, forsaking your friends, you need to reprioritize. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. That's simply the human condition. And then if you're spending too much time on the wrong things, you need to stop and rethink your life, you goober. We're all prone to vice. Everybody is prone to vice of one kind or another, and of varying scales. You want to have as little vice as possible in your life, as little of things that are actively hurting you and robbing you of your life. You want to think about why you were doing what you were doing when you burnt out. Were you doing things in opposition to your goals, but you had good reasons for it? That's fine. If we have good reasons for acting against our goals, we need to think about how do you get more rest or get more time to spend on the things you do care about. If you were doing things that were in line with your goals but not your values, you are in violation of your conscience, and it's going to torment you until you resolve that. Find a way out. If you were doing things in line with your values but not your goals, you probably got a little bit too comfortable and got shell-shocked when you realized that you're not moving toward the life you want. It's possible to get comfortable in a position that's really not serving you. Everybody knows this. 10 years in restaurant and service, that's my evidence. And if you're acting against both your goals and your values, this is self-destructive behavior, and you need to stop now. And reassess, realign, get moving in a better direction. So it's we've played this isn't 20 questions, it's more like 75 questions, but we have some orientation now. We're a little bit more in touch with ourselves, a little bit more in touch with our circumstances. What do we need to do next, and why? What kind of art will you make? If you were making something you didn't care about, if you were spending your energy drawing Sonic OCs for the past 5 years, and you weren't about that, you're not about that anymore. Answer the question anew. What kind of art will you make? And how is your life going to support your art? How is your life going to contribute to constructive creative activity? How are you going to gather in good inspiration, spend time around good people, have time for your art, and pay your bills? It's not a simple question to ask, but you still have to answer it. You can't get away with not answering these questions. Do you need a day job to make things easier? And what kind of day job do you need, if you still need one? Or night job, as some of us might experience. The bills still come, but at least for right now, 2023, we still have options. And things are getting a little bit better in terms of workers understanding their agency and their rights and what they can get from a job to build the life they want to build. And as a general rule, at least early on in the recovery from burnout, you want to keep your day job categorically separate from your passion. I say this because I used to work in screen printing, and that overlapped just a little bit with my passion and interest in illustration. But the overlap was just such that the energy that I would have spent on illustration when I got back home was wasted at work, paying the bills. And with that question of what kind of art you're going to make, how are you going to acquire sufficient artistic skill? Now, of course, the answer to that is simple. You have to draw, or sew, or write, or practice. But if there's something specifically you're weak in, do you need to pursue intentional study? Do you need to figure out how does perspective work? How does anatomy work? How do I assemble a dress that's tasteful in shape and fits comfortably and stays together? How do I write a story that builds the vision I want inside the other person's head? And how is your art going to improve your life and your world? How does your art answer the why inside your heart, and how does it touch other people's hearts? Your art will only grow wings if it's going to connect with people around you. You can do things that are completely self-interested and self-invested, and that's fine. Just be understanding that you're going to lose out if you're not connecting with your viewer and your reader. How are you going to design a life that supports you, gives you room to be creative, and lets you produce work you can be proud of? I don't have the answers for you. I recognize it's a little bit frustrating, but the nice thing here is if you can ask the right questions, you can get the right answers. Burnout is a pervasive thing, but it's unique to every single person insofar as it deals with things that are specific to that person's life. So what does recovery look like? You've answered the questions, you understand who you are, you understand what you actually want. Recovering from your burnout Much shorter, much simpler. Recovery from creative burnout ends with action. Once you start making again, you've exited burnout. You're probably not going to be creating at this wild, ravenous pace where you're going to have books and books of art or books and books of novels or costume after costume every single week. It's going to be small, but you're acting again. You're creating again. You're moving from doing nothing and hating yourself to loving yourself and loving your work again. Now, recovering from your burnout, there are some caveats here. Recovering from burnout doesn't mean you found the perfect answer. Recovering from burnout doesn't mean you'll never burn out again. What it does mean is that you've recovered once, you can recover again. You have more answers now than you did before. Moving forward, you may have to change course again. You might have to pivot. You might have to cut some things out and put some things back into your life. You want to stick with your new plan long enough to learn what's right and what's wrong for you, and be more attentive to yourself. If you ask yourself, am I burnt out? You are on the bubble. You're on the edge. If you ask yourself, am I burnt out? You need to press pause, assess your situation, keep calm, and carry on. It's a tall mountain. It's a tall mountain. 2017, I had a bad burnout. I got better in 2018. I had a bad burnout just last year, and I'm on the other side of it now, making and writing and talking again. I won't propose that I have the perfect answer in every single case, but the fact that I was able to recover, and I'm a nobody who slid into this panel room because I asked nicely at the very last minute. If someone like me can recover from burnout, it's possible for every single one of you beautiful, intelligent people who has all kinds of life and love and story and creativity inside you. With that, we get to my favorite part of the show, which is the question and answer segment. This part of it is going to be private between you and me. But for you, dear viewer, I'd love to hear your questions and comments, down in the section below. We'll talk soon. Y'all take care.